Never burn a door. In this video, I'm going to talk about what that means, why you should never burn a door, and why I never burn a door, and I'm going to always live by that. So 9 years ago, I started doing door-to-door sales. That's how I got into sales, okay? For any of you that don't know that, selling home security systems door-to-door. And I learned pretty quickly that it can be, you can knock on a door, it can be a good fit, right? Uh, Perfect prospect, good situation. They were, they've been looking for something like this. They travel, whatever, right? With talking about home security, and they need the security while they're gone, and it's just like a perfect fit, right? But I learned really quickly that, like, if you catch the perfect fit and the perfect situation at the wrong time, you're going to lose the deal. And so what I started doing is something I do to this day. And that is, I would never let someone tell me no. I would never get a no, and I would leave every door open. And I mean, like, like, not actually every door, obviously, but I would leave every door, meaning I would leave it so that if I came back, it wouldn't be weird. Right? I wouldn't take a hard no. I wouldn't take a, not interested, never talk to me again. And so what I would do is really simple: is I would just make sure, first of all, this goes no brainer. I would never burn anyone down. Like, if someone is whatever to me, I would not do something or say something that would make it so if I go back to that door in a couple months or a year or 2 years, that's just a cold door, right? I would always keep the doors warm. And so some of the things that I would do is, like, if I could tell a no was coming, a not interested, whatever, right? I could just tell. And I didn't even know why, but I just knew the no was coming. I would cut them off and I'd say, hey, look, I could tell this is bad timing. I think this would be, if you gave this a fair shake, based on what you're telling me, I think this would be a really good fit, but this is terrible timing. So why don't I just grab your number, grab your email? I'll keep in touch, and I'll be back in here. I'll be in and out of this neighborhood all summer. I'll be in here till August, like, whatever. And let's just keep an open communication, and whatever, right? I just made that door soft. I just created that. I left it warm, meaning, and this is what would happen is I would do this, like, the whole summer, but especially in April and May. And then at the end of the summer, I would be like, okay, I got to get my numbers. I got to hit my numbers. I got my area over here. I'm working this neighborhood, but I would go back to my first neighborhoods, right? That I'd started in, and I had left every door warm. So now I could literally go knock that entire neighborhood, and I had a bunch of people that now knew me. And they're like, okay, this guy's back. They're now familiar with me, and I didn't have anyone where I'm like, oh crap, is that door someone that's going to, like, completely yell at me because they hate me and I said something disrespectful? No, I never did that. Even if they were disrespectful to me, I would never burn it down. Now, it's not saying that I would be chummy with them or be their best friend or whatever, or take it. Like, I'm not just going to take it, but I would be respectful and just walk away, right? And just do everything that I could to leave that door open. And what it allowed me to do is it allowed me to get a ton of sales the end of the summer. So end of summer one, I got the first summer, not a ton, but I got a few. Okay. But here's what's interesting. I didn't know that the next year I'd be going back to the same area, and the next year I'd going back to the same area, and the next year, and the next, like, I didn't know that. So this is all intuition, right? This is what people were teaching me and what I saw. Then the next year, they're like, hey, you guys are going back to Bentonville. And I'm like, oh, goodness. I am so glad I left these doors open. So what would happen the next year, number two, is I'd be knocking neighborhoods I knocked year one, and I would knock on the door, and they're like, yo, we're ready to go. We're ready to go. And obviously, it wasn't like, hey, where do we sign? But they were, like, way more receptive, good timing. His financial situation had changed, whatever, right? And so I was able to squeeze so many deals that other people, when they knocked on the door, it was like yes or no, yes or no, yes or no. And for me, it was like yes or maybe, yes or maybe, yes or maybe. And that meant next year is yes or maybe. And then the next year, and I did it 3 years in a row. And so I got so familiar with these neighborhoods. It's like, oh, this guy's back again. He's the same guy. He's legit. He keeps coming back. And I got deal after deal. I got so many deals that told me no the first year, that told me yes at the end of the summer or the second year or the third year, right? Like, incredible amount of deals because of that. And so I've applied this exact same principle to selling local lead generation. And so I had this situation. That's why I'm bringing this up. I had this situation happen about 6 months ago. I had a guy, and we had a deal put together, right? It was supposed to be $1,000 a month, 6 months. We got a little bit into it, and he had signed a contract, by the way. So it was all on paper, and we got a little bit into it, and the guy basically just ghosted me. Like, he wasn't honoring his contract and all this stuff. And I was very direct, and I still believe you should be direct. And I let him know. I said, hey, I expect you to pay. Like, we had a deal. He felt, as after I listened to him, he felt like he was justified because he didn't feel like it was explained, whatever, right? It was just one of those weird deals. And so every part of me wanted to just like say some terrible things, some things that like, okay, dude, you're not going to mess with me, blah, blah, blah. But I didn't. And now I didn't let him walk all over me. But I stopped sending him leads immediately. So it wasn't like I was out any money. And I just left the door open because I was like, I don't agree with that. And I know what I said, but I could see how that could be whatever. And again, I don't want this to be confused of like, hey, just let people walk all over you, because I don't let people walk all over me at all. But there's a fine line. And so with this individual, I just left the door open and I basically was like, hey, so looks like this didn't work out. And I think really what happened is, anyway, I actually don't know. And I don't want to even worry about that. But basically, long story short is that website is still producing leads. And I haven't had time in the last 4 or 5 months to go and do anything. And so we dusted all these sites off that we need to go rent this last week. And we looked at the specific site and I was like, okay, I need to go find somebody for this property. And I was talking to, and by property, I mean lead generation site. I was talking to my setter and I'm like, dude, we got to find somebody. So before we do that though, I'm like, let me just reach out to our previous client and let's see what happens. Like, why not? It's an open phone call. And because I had left that door open, I hadn't burned it. I hadn't just come unglued. I hadn't said terrible things. I hadn't told them like, where they have a special place in hell and all this stuff that people get excited about saying. I left it open and I called him and I was on my way. I was driving to Vegas to pick up a computer literally on Friday. And this is a couple days ago. And it was a nice conversation. I said, hey, how are you? How was your new year? How was Christmas? How's business? And he's like, yeah, actually a couple of the leads that you gave me like in the beginning, I still get repeat work. And he was really happy. And I was like, hey, look, man, I know, by the way, just so you understand, I'm not taking any of that personal. I know there's a misunderstanding and that kind of stuff. I said, I would love to have a conversation again about working together before I go find somebody else in your area. Are you open to that? And he's like, yeah, absolutely. So I get off the phone. I call somebody at the office. I said, hey, we have a couple of leads that have come in. Let's get him one. We call up a lead. We send him a lead. Then we send him another lead the following Monday, which is yesterday. And I'm having a conversation today about putting together a six month to 12-month deal with that guy. That means I didn't have to go through the prospecting phase. I didn't have to go through the trial phase. I didn't have to go through the setup and sending the free leads and doing the pitch and the whole deal. Now, I might not get him, right? And I'm going to tell you that right now. I might not get him. And what I'll do is if I end up getting him, I'll comment on this thread and say, hey, update, we got the deal and it's going great. Or, hey, we lost the deal. But the fact of the matter is this. Because I left the door open, it allowed me to come back around, right? And again, fine line. Don't let people walk all over you. Do not let them walk all over you. Don't let people talk poorly or just screw you out of money. But this is a unique situation, and every part of me wanted to be like, I'm going to show you who's boss. You don't mess with me like that. Blah 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 blah. But I didn't, and I was like, look, I'm looking long term, and it's the same thing. Like if I had known year one doing door-to-door sales that I was going to be back 3 years in a row, I didn't, by the way, then I definitely would have done that strategy. And with this business, I'm not going anywhere. I am going to be doing this next year and the year after and the year after and the year after and the year after. So if somebody tells me no today, or somebody's about to tell me no or whatever, I know that if I leave that door open, I don't just burn it to the ground. I can go back in 6 months. I can go back in 12 months. I can go back in a month. I can go back in 2 years. I can go back in 3 years. And there are so many deals that I've gotten that I didn't get the year before that I got this year, or I didn't get last month that I got this month, and I didn't get in the winter that I got in the spring. And so guys, my plea to you is this. If you're in this for the long term, if you're in this to be in this and you plan on like making this real, making this big, leave every door open. Do not burn a bridge. Do not burn a relationship. Leave all, and again, I keep referring to doors because that's where I first learned it, but leave every relationship warm, leave every relationship open so that if you intend on circling back around, or if you intend on having a sales guy or a sales gal circle back around, there's still that opportunity. Guys, if you like this video, you know exactly what to do. Check out the link in the description, and I will see you in my group.